Listeners and viewers around the country and around the world. Senators Barack Obama and John McCain met last night for the final debate before the November 4th presidential election. It was held at Hofstra University on Long Island in New York. Prior to the 90-minute face-off, police arrested 15 protesters in a peaceful demonstration outside the university led by Iraq veterans against the war. One veteran, Nick Morgan, was hospitalized after being trampled by a police horse. Video shot at the scene showed Morgan lying on the ground by a pool of blood. The arrest took place less than an hour before Barack Obama and John McCain took the stage. During the debate, the Iraq War was barely mentioned. The war in Afghanistan never came up. Instead, the two candidates sparred over the government's plans to rescue the financial system, tax policy, negative campaigning, trade agreements, abortion, and the educational system.
As with the other debates, third-party candidates were not invited to participate. But today on Democracy Now!, we'll break the sound barrier by giving some of those candidates a chance to respond to last night's questions. Green Party presidential nominee Cynthia McKinney joins us in Atlanta, and independent presidential candidate Ralph Nader joins us on the phone. We invited Libertarian Party presidential nominee Bob Barr and Constitution Party nominee Chuck Baldwin, but they couldn't join us. So they will answer the same questions put to the major party candidates. We begin with CBS News' Bob Schieffer, the moderator of last night's debate.
By now, we've heard all the talking points, so let's try to tell the people tonight some things that they haven't heard. Let's get to it. Another very bad day on Wall Street, as both of you know. Both of you proposed new plans this week to address the economic crisis. Senator McCain, you proposed a $52 billion plan that includes new tax cuts on capital gains, tax breaks for seniors, write-offs for stock losses, among other things. Senator Obama, you proposed $60 billion in tax cuts for middle-income and lower-income people, more tax breaks to create jobs, new spending for public works projects to create jobs. I will ask both of you, why is your plan better than his? Senator McCain, you go first.
Well, let me say, Bob, thank you, and thanks to Hofstra. And by the way, our beloved Nancy Reagan is in the hospital tonight. Our thoughts and prayers are going with you. It's good to see you again, Senator Obama. Americans are hurting right now, and they're angry. They're hurting and they're angry. They're innocent victims of greed and excess on Wall Street and as well as Washington, D.C. And they're angry, and they have every reason to be angry. And they want this country to go in a new direction. And there are elements of my proposal that you just outlined, which I won't repeat. But we also have to have a short-term fix, in my view, and long-term fixes. Let me just talk to you about one of the short-term fixes. The catalyst for this housing crisis was the Fannie and Freddie Mae that caused the subprime lending situation that now caused the housing market in America to collapse. I am convinced that until we reverse this continued decline in home ownership and put a floor under it, and so that people have not only the hope and belief they can stay in their homes and realize the American dream, but that value will come up. Now, we have allocated $750 billion. Let's take 300 of that billion and go in and buy those home loan mortgages and negotiate with those people in their homes, 11 million homes or more, so that they can afford to pay the mortgage, stay in their home. Now, I know the criticism of this. Well, what about the citizen that stayed in their homes, that paid their mortgage payments? It doesn't help that person in their home if the next-door neighbor's house is abandoned. And so we've got to reverse this. We ought to put the homeowners first, and I am disappointed that Secretary Paulson and others have not made that their first priority.
All right. Senator Obama.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Hofstra University and the people of New York for hosting us tonight, and it's wonderful to join Senator McCain again, and thank you, Bob. I think everybody understands at this point that we are experiencing the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. And the financial rescue plan that Senator McCain and I supported is an important first step. And I pushed for some core principles, making sure the taxpayers can get their money back if they're putting money up. making sure that CEOs are not enriching themselves through this process. And I think that it's going to take some time to work itself out. But what we haven't yet seen is a rescue package for the middle class, because the fundamentals of the economy were weak even before this latest crisis. So I've proposed 4 specific things that I think can help. Number 1, let's focus on jobs. I want to end the tax breaks for companies that are shipping jobs overseas and provide a tax credit for every company that's creating a job right here in America. Number 2, let's help families right away by providing them a tax cut, a middle-class tax cut for people making less than $200,000, and let's allow them to access their IRA accounts without penalty if they're experiencing a crisis. Now, Senator McCain, I agree with your idea that we've got to help homeowners. That's why we included in the financial package a proposal to get homeowners in a position where they can renegotiate their mortgages. I disagree with Senator McCain in how to do it, because the way Senator McCain has designed his plan, it could be a giveaway to banks if we're buying full price for mortgages that now are worth a lot less, and we don't want to waste taxpayer money. And we've got to get the financial package working much quicker than it's been working. Last point I want to make, though, we've got some long-term challenges in this economy that have to be dealt with. We've got to fix our energy policy that's giving our wealth away. We've got to fix our healthcare system, and we've got to invest in our education system for every young person to be able to learn.
Cynthia McKinney, a Green Party presidential nominee, you have 2 minutes to give us your view of the financial crisis and why your plan would be better.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank you for inviting me to be with you, and also I'd like to thank Trevor Lyman of thirdpartyticket.com, who has also organized an event, debate, a third-party debate on October 19th from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and I will be participating. I've put together a 14-point plan, which is available on our website, CynthiaRun.org. And in those 14 points is included a elimination of adjustable rate mortgages, predatory lending, and any of the discriminatory practices that help to fuel the crisis that we're experiencing. In addition to that, I also call for the elimination of derivatives trading, which is one of the major problems. I also call for David Walker, who is the former Comptroller General of the United States, to oversee all of the entities that have received taxpayer funding. He is the one who was in charge of auditing the United States government and basically left in disgust because people in the Congress and in the White House were not listening to his admonitions. I also call for the nationalization of the Federal Reserve and the establishment of a banking system, a nationalized banking system that really responds to the needs of people and our country. Our country needs investment in infrastructure, in manufacturing, and in greening our economy. And that could be accomplished through such a banking system that belongs to the American people. And then I would also just like to say, I agree that U.S. corporations should not receive tax subsidies for moving jobs overseas. And that's a piece of legislation that I actually introduced when I was in the Congress.
Ralph Nader, independent presidential candidate, your solution for the economic crisis and why your plan is better than these other candidates.
Well, first of all, Washington had Wall Street over a barrel, and they didn't enact legislation in that $700+ billion bailout to prevent this from happening again. So there should be, in the future, very near future, comprehensive re-regulation of the financial services industry. It was deregulation that opened the doors under Clinton for this wild orgy of excess, as Richard Fisher of the Federal Reserve in Dallas called it. We need to provide more power to the shareholders, mutual funds, worker pension funds, and others to control the companies that they own and control the bosses so that this doesn't happen again. We need widespread criminal prosecution of these corporate crooks and swindlers. There are lots of deceptive practices, cover-ups, and conflicts of interest involved in selling this phony paper around the country and the world. And we need, if there's going to be taxpayer injection in these in financial institutions, the taxpayer should not only have ownership, proportional ownership, but should have representatives on the board. Right now, it's a very porous and very ineffective provision in the bill. But above all, we need to make the speculators pay for their own bailout, and that can be done by a 0.1% tax on derivatives transactions, which this year will be $500 trillion worth. So 0.1% will produce $500 billion. 0.2% will produce $1 trillion, and that is only fair. So what's important here is there's nothing spectacularly new about a derivatives tax.